And we're live.
Yay!
This is episode 229. I've only got a minute. I just escaped from the basement where they're holding me hostage, and they're going to come back for me at any time. So I just got to get this out of my system real quickly. This is The Geek Life, episode 229, and it's recording the week of June 23rd, Monday, June 23rd. Somebody get me out of here!
That may be the most exciting intro we've had in a very long time.
Do with that what you would know. The most exciting intro of all time, Deep Purple.
Complete album's cool.
However,
Well,
today is Tuesday, June 24th.
It's Tuesday the
deal.
24th. I always gave the date as the week of Monday, the Monday.
Oh, the Monday. Oh.
But you can do it however you like. But I will just, since I'm about to drop off because I got an insane amount of work to do, one of the most fun albums I've listened to in a long time.
Cool.
The name is very conceited or
What?
very pompous. Concerto for Group and Orchestra.
Wait, the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra is doing a cover of Deep Purple?
No, actually, one of the members of Deep Purple named John Lord wrote this in 1970. And Deep Purple performed it live with the orchestra conducted by Malcolm Arnold, who was a British
interesting.
composer. And they got an album out of it. And the band apparently didn't like it because it was mostly the one composer's stuff. But I don't care because it was fun to listen to, and I like that sort of thing. And it's very much a product of 1970 when it was recorded.
Interesting.
But this is why I love CDs. This box has 10 albums in it. It cost me $50 on Amazon.
Nice!
If I bought each album on iTunes, it would have cost me $100. But CDs are dead, right?
Oh, totally. Totally.
Go
Does.
Totally dead.
Totally. Just like this Billionaire Project CD that I got for $1 on Amazon. Aww. It's out of print, too.
Oh, well, there you are. So,
And so, Richard, get the hell out of here so you can take care of your business and we can take care of our business. It's been nice for you to visit, though.
It was good to see you, Rich.
Wow.
But I'm trying to get away from the Minnesota goodbye that's delaying everybody.
well, how about a sudden ending?
There you go.
Oh,
They found him and took him back to the basement. Oh, no.
there you go. Wow.
There we go. Yep.
That Minnesota goodbye is a curse. Anyway, videos.
Videos. Videos this week. Yeah, it's definitely the summer season, not a whole lot coming out. But we do have this week the Lego Movie on DVD and Blu-ray, which was a lot of fun and, better than it had any right to be.
Wait,
It
the
had
Lego movie's
every
out?
right to be that good.
Yeah.
Every right.
Did you
And-
order, Mike?
Mike, do you need to go buy the Lego Movie?
No, I don't. I already
should.
have it.
Okay.
No, like I said, it's out.
Mr. Pepper.
Everything is awesome.
Earworm. Okay, so also we have the Grand Budapest Hotel, for those of you who are a fan of that. And also, I'm very pleased with this. The Final Member has been released.
Yay!
The Final Member being a documentary about penises. Specifically, two penises. Two human penises.
Oh wait, is
And
it that
the-
thing about where they're?
Yes.
Yeah, the guy who runs the Philological Museum in someplace in Scandinavia wants a human penis for his collection, and then there are two guys who are offering their penises to him. It's the documentary about that. Including, yeah, and it's a hell of a thing. It really is a hell of a thing.
Wait, was there a winner yet?
What do you mean?
Was there a winner? Did
You
one
have
of
to
them
see
win?
the movie. I'm not spoiling it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
All right.
So in catalog titles, not a whole lot this week. We do have Lord Jim with Peter O'Toole. And, in the really interesting category, we have a version of The Tempest, Shakespeare's The Tempest, recorded, it was a TV production from 1960, starring Roddy McDowall, Maurice Evans, Richard Burton, and Lee Remick. So there's that. You can get it for like $12 on Amazon now.
Neat.
And from Criterion, since there wasn't a whole lot of catalog titles from the regular places, we have Criterion hitting it out of the park with Hard Day's Night, the Beatles. We have Picnic at Hanging Rock, Peter Weir's film, which is this creepy kind of coming-of-age in Victorian Australia, girls going missing story. Judex. And Hearts and Minds being that documentary made in post-war Vietnam. So some really cool stuff coming up from Criterion. Also, Warner Archives has a couple of fun things. We've got the Sunshine Boys, the Walter Matthau, George Burns version. And we have More Than a Miracle with Sophia Loren and Omar Sharif. In the category of TV, fans of the Boondocks will be pleased to know that they can own the complete series in one big, massive box set.
There wasn't that much, was there?
I don't know.
Isn't it like 2 seasons, though?
I think it's more than that by now.
Well, I didn't know if it kept going or not, but I
No,
knew
it
that
got
the
canceled
first...
pretty quick.
Really? Well, I know the whole first season.
Well, I thought it moved to a different channel and kept going.
Oh, maybe that's what happened, because, I mean, on Cartoon Network, it seemed like have a very short run and then immediately went to reruns, so...
Mm-hmm. So anyway, title of the week. First of all, in the This Exists category, we have Aquarium 4K, which means a 4K Blu-ray of an aquarium. And it's not like not a saltwater aquarium or anything. It's just a regular old freshwater aquarium with like mollies and guppies and stuff.
Not even cichlids?
Not even cichlids. It's like South American guppies.
One beta. It's
Yeah.
just one beta on the whole 4K screen.
Well, that'd be from Thailand. So
Yes, but-
if it's a South American tank, no go on the beta.
And how much is that?
I don't know, but probably
Wait,
costs more
Only
than.
3 pages.
Wait. Is it also in 3D?
I did not see 3D, but I did see it was in 4K.
You know what'd be awesome?
So if you need a 4K transfer,
It'd be awesome if they included director's commentary.
as you see when this fish crosses to the other side of the screen, you can see the impact it has on the other fish.
No, you need to get Herzog on that.
Yes, we do.
Then it'd be worth buying.
Werner
Herzog's
Herzog-
Aquarium 4K.
I don't know. He doesn't have to direct it. Just get him to do a commentary on it.
I'm all for that. I'd buy the shit out of that, actually.
Christ, why haven't we had like a March of the Penguins type movie with Werner Herzog doing the narration?
Because he does those movies already. Clearly, you have not watched enough Sir Herzog.
Well, no, I mean just
You've seen Encounters at the End of the World, haven't you? Where he's stalking a penguin, and it's basically 5 minutes of his own version of March of the Penguins.
I'm talking about full. Do you think it
And
made
then,
too much of
and
his
then
full-on
there's a
film?
sturgeon in the block of ice in that same movie.
But those are short films. I'm talking full.
That's not a
feature.
short film. That is a feature frickin' film where Herzog went to Antarctica and filmed for a while.
That I need to be introduced to this. This is exactly what I asked for.
You needed to be paying
wait a
attention
minute,
when I played every
historical.
single goddamn Werner Herzog movie at my apartment.
I blame
Where were
Melissa
you?
for.
Where
blame
were
Melissa.
you?
No, where were you?
I was enabling you.
Right?
I was
No,
enabling
right?
you.
Mom and Dad are fighting again.
You did not bring this to my attention.
I did. I did. You didn't show up.
When did
So
that?
what
Okay,
other titles do you have, Melissa?
We have Escape from
Round
Nazi
one.
Alcatraz.
Ding!
Yeah. Hey! We have God.
Wait, let me get my
this
bikini
episode.
on.
Yes, we have Escape from Nazi Alcatraz, which, oddly enough, is a Nova documentary.
I remember Nova.
So Nova and National Geographic seem to be getting in on the, well, if we name these nature documentaries crazily enough, or history documentaries crazily enough, people will buy them, even though they're educational.
Wait,
So
not-
we also
Nova still
have...
exists?
Just quiet, you. And then speaking of National Geographic, in the same vein, National Geographic put out this week Crocpocalypse. So on the Nova side, we have Escape from Nazi Alcatraz. On National Geographic side, we have Crocpocalypse. That's all you ever need.
Bought out by the Sci-Fi Channel.
I know, right?
No. As one who watches too much PBS, it's like they've decided to take History Channel's old idea and become the Hitler Channel, because PBS has been cranking out one World War II documentary after another, including secret Nazi death machine sort of stuff. And it's like, I remember all these shows, but that was when it used to be the History Channel, which was the Hitler Channel. Now that's the Sci-Fi Channel, and Sci-Fi is the Pro Wrestling Channel, and I just can't keep up.
And for those of you who don't have enough in your life with both Crocpocalypse and Escape from Nazi Alcatraz, you have the Co-Ed and Zombie Stoner. The Co-Ed and the Zombie Stoner, quote, from the dudes who brought you Sharknado, unquote.
Well, that just raises the bar.
Yep. And that's what I have for you this week. Actually, Zombie Stoner. So was this a stoner before he became a zombie? Or does the zombie have a taste for weed instead of brains?
Or does the zombie eat stoner brains?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Brains on weed.
That might work.
Brains on weed likes them as a delicacy.
So is that like the scene in Love at First Bite where Dracula drinks the drunk man's blood and gets drunk?
Probably.
Awesome. I'm all for it.
Oh, the pain.
So yeah, that's what I have for you this week. We can move on.
Harrison Ford.
There is Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford being attacked by the Millennium Falcon.
Which is totally not in the movie.
But it might be in the extended scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, hold on. George Lucas will pad it out to a full 2 hours.
With digital effects.
With digital effects and Dubex.
But did you see the Twitter post from J.J. Abrams?
No.
Well, okay. It was a little note that said, I don't know why people think the Millennium Falcon's in this. And it's sitting on the chessboard from the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
This is also, is this the same meme where Harrison Ford initially is holding up the card saying can do the Kessel Run in however many parsecs but can't open a damn door?
Yeah.
Actually, that originally came from when he did a Reddit Q&A a couple of months ago, and the card actually said, "Hello, Reddit," to prove that it was him. And, of course, when you have a nice, clean, white piece of paper with words on it that you're holding...
Yes, I know it got re-edited, over and over into different things.
Mm-hmm. But in all seriousness, the actor is actually severely injured. It's and there's some links from The Verge and comicbook.com.
Well, he broke his ankle, leg?
Yeah, it's a non-life-threatening ankle injury, but it's still reported to be a very serious injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's a break.
He got majorly crushed.
Yeah.
Right. And, of course, that doesn't prevent people like clickhole.com with providing 7 photos of Harrison Ford's ankle in its prime.
That's one of the best pieces of link bait I've ever seen.
Absolutely. So we'll definitely provide that for everybody here. Now, somebody posted about Hardware Wars.
Yes, I did. Hardware Wars is on Hulu. Okay, so those of you who are like old school Star Wars fans might remember that shortly after the release of the original Star Wars, a fan group got together and on film made their own little short film parody.
You'll laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah, you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll kiss $3 goodbye.
$6.
$6
whatever it was at the
I think it was $3.
Probably $3. Yeah.
Inflation. But yeah, it was. It's this goofy, silly little 10-minute fan film that was made. I want to say late 70s, and it won a bunch of little awards for short filmmaking. It's doofy and silly. Kids will love it if they're into Star Wars, and I certainly loved it when I saw it in kindergarten, first grade.
Now,
and so now it's on Hulu. If you go onto YouTube and you're really willing to do a deep cut, those same people did a Close Encounters of the Third Kind parody called Closet Cases of the Nerd Kind,
which I love dearly to this day.
Yeah, I really like that one.
Gonna build a mountain in your living room. It's gonna be keen.
Yeah, the singing Pie in the Sky is probably my favorite thing ever.
Mailboxes. I like the Darth Vader. You're blocking.
Oh, the Darth Vader and the singing mailboxes are pretty good. Yes. So anyway, guys, Hardware Wars on Hulu, and YouTube has Closet Cases of the Nerd Kind.
Yes, we're definitely going to show Hardware Wars to the daughters because they need to be infected.
Yes, they do, and they're at the exact right age for that sort of thing.
Yep. Or they're currently watching the MST3K Gammas and having a hoot with them.
Oh, I just got a note from William Donahue, one of our Brians. I'm so old school, I've seen Hardware Wars screened live at a con.
I was just about to say that.
Yay, Brian.
All right. So moving on from that, if we're gonna go into comics next, and Jack Kirby, Marvel, and the Supreme Court. Results could change everything if people are either A, an employee, or B, freelance, and that's it, including the implications of who owns what, which means it could reverse some things or not. So this comes from Bleeding Cool. There's a couple of links related to that, as well as a link from Robot 6. Basically saying Hollywood guilds are pushing to hear the case, pushing for the Supreme Court to hear the case as well. So
this is being brought by the Kirby estate, I assume, or part of them,
and that's what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at it's a greater idea of like looking at copyright law and the definition of work for hire. So, which if you're work for hire. I don't know. I mean, you could, it's already kind of interesting, and hearing that creators could sue for the rights back from something of which they had a contract saying that they didn't have it to begin with.
Right.
I don't know. I'm a little fuzzy on the whole thing of how you can actually do that if you sign it away.
Well, it depends how you sign it away. I know in the case of of Jack Kirby and Marvel and Stan Lee, there's some questions as to how it was signed away, because I don't believe it was a clear agreement, even though Stan Lee will make it sound like it was. If you listen to both sides of the story, you start getting the idea that technically it was work for hire, but given the time period, probably nothing was firmly put down on paper like it would be nowadays.
Mm.
And on the suing for your stuff back is interesting, because that's actually a clause that exists within the music industry currently, that if they have your music for, there's something at the clause, because this is coming up, if they have your song for X amount of time, there's basically a certain time period you can have in your contract where it has to revert back to you, and we're finally getting the first person who this has to revert back to in the last couple of years, and he's actively suing for it to revert back to him, because what he uses has been sampled over and over again, or what he created. So at least in the music industry, there's precedence for it, but then again, that's part of the contract too, that eventually it's supposed to go back to the creator, but like after an ungodly period of time. Where in this case, it's kind of weird, because it's like, well, if you're work for hire and the contract's clear about it, how does it really revert? But I know in the Kirby estate case, there's kind of some questions as to, sometimes they'd call themselves co-creators, and then sometimes Stanley had said, no, you work for me, and it's kind of like, well, it's one way or the other. So it's just weird.
Yeah, and a little bit more on. I'm going to talk about this one first. DC Entertainment says they're going to change how they pay royalties and give credit to cover colorists.
No, they're giving cover credit to colorists.
Okay. Then what was I reading about the royalties?
The royalties, they're changing the structure of the royalties, the way that it's getting paid out to all artists. So colorists get cover credit along with writers and pencilers, and the structure of the royalties is changing so that first of all, digital creators are getting sales royalties now, and the structure of the royalties should also wind up meaning that more sales royalties will trickle down to the artists that work on the books.
Yay.
Mm-hmm. Proof will be in the pudding, as the article says, but it's a very interesting development.
Yes, the proof of eating is in the pudding. This stems from a preemptive move by DC, in which the very thing was brought up at a San Diego Comic-Con panel, in which basically somebody was calling them out, and also stemming from a recent internal survey that DC Comics conducted, asking how we can make the company better, make things better by giving them 60 questions of a multiple choice question, and not particularly actually what people are really concerned about. But so there you go. But one good thing out of DC Comics is Gail Simone talks at the White House about the inclusion of LGBTQ characters in media. Though I can't actually find the speech itself, so I still got to try to find a video or something of that there. But I got lesgetreal.com has a little piece about that, and you can just Google Gail Simone White House and come up with a bunch of links about it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yay!
Yay! What? Huh? Oh.
And that's comics.
Hooray! Comics.
Yay! Tech. Oh, this is a good one. So, if you're a Comcast subscriber, as in for internet, guess what you are? You're a hotspot.
Fuck you.
Let's say yes. This is a turtle comment. It's kind of fun. Basically, what Comcast is doing with their Xfinity service is if you rent or buy a modem from them, so if you use your own modem, you're fine. If you consider this a bad thing or not. But basically, you get a modem from them, and you are now an Xfinity hotspot, which means any Xfinity customer, if they bring out their mobile device, whatever, will see your hotspot as an Xfinity hotspot, and using their login with Comcast can log in and then use that. Now they claim this is safe. How they're doing it is they're basically splitting off a different channel wirelessly off your modem, so it's on a different wireless network than whatever one you might have set up on your Comcast modem. And they claim it's secure. Let me have some more beer here.
So let me just jump in, since I did used to work for Comcast.
And we still do.
It's a digital. With the way Comcast, aka Xfinity, gets to your house, it's all through one cable. It's a digital signal, not analog anymore, but it's still through a coaxial cable. Now, when they offer phone service, for whatever reason that people want hardline phones still, especially through Comcast, it's still there. It's on a separate channel from everything, and in the event of power going out, the cable can switch to analog, so you still can have use of your phone. And with the phone itself, there's also, I forget exactly something, but there's sort of like a connection through the phone, of which you can use basically the internet, the Comcast internet. That's not your internet.
Right.
That's a separate stream that's just dedicated for your phone. So the data packet is separate from your internet data packet. So that's what they're doing. It's a separate data packet.
Yeah, well, there's separate frequencies and separate packets. So yeah, you can separate the traffic across one wire.
Right.
And
it should be completely, each separate thing should. I mean, if they can turn on everything of your digital line to be 100 gigabits per second versus 50 megabits per second. So they can do that at a will to not affect all your other stuff.
Right. The security issue is can they guarantee security at the modem? Mm-hmm. So when they split out the signal on the modem, which it is going to be on a different signal on a different part of the modem. So in theory, it is separated.
Mm-hmm.
Is Mike just being quiet, or he's just being quiet?
I'm just being quiet.
Okay. Since you're an admin, you can jump in too. So, yeah, but they're separating out on at the modem. So in theory, they should be separate. But the unknown here, from my meager perspective, is there a hackable way so somebody coming in on the Xfinity hotspot can jump over to my side at the modem level? At the cable level, yeah, I expect it to be fully separated out, but my issue would be at the modem level. And then, of course, the response to this is you go and buy your own cable modem, and you're no longer an Xfinity hotspot because now they don't control it and won't split out at that point, because the actual box has to do it too to provide that wireless connection.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, though. I am an Xfinity customer. I have one of their cable modems. I don't have a hotspot on my phone. It doesn't show up.
I suddenly had a hotspot showing up, and I was curious why, and then I found this out.
Okay. Yeah,
you might have you have an older model too.
Yeah, I was about to say this is a newer thing that they're doing. So
if by older model, I had to basically mine started going a little bit wacky, and so I got a new one about 4 months ago.
Oh well.
Is it a new one or is it a different one? If you got a Comcast, any provider, they can recycle any of their hardware.
Yeah. Are there any Xfinity hotspots in your area?
Is a neighbor now a hotspot? No, that's right. You didn't have a
there's I'm not seeing any hotspots in the area.
Interesting.
Of course, I'm seeing 26 other wireless signals, which is why I converted all my Rokus to hardwired.
Yep.
It's because I'd get into 2.0's room, it wouldn't connect. It's 20 feet away from the actual wireless router.
Saturating the different channels, and you can't probably find a separate one. Yeah.
Interesting. Well, at the modem level itself, like Melissa, okay, you got an Apple Airport right now where it also it has two channels, a main channel and an offside channel. Could somebody go through that side channel into your main channel?
It's tricky, but
then I would say yes.
I presume it would be possible. But
yeah, with the Apple modem, that's just a gigahertz difference, so it's still the same wireless.
Oh, okay.
And you might this would be more like if you have a guest account closer. Though it is still different because they are doing. It's more like the gigahertz. They're separating it more, but it's more like guest account versus main account sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But the guest account's even more separated for how this works. So we don't. And the answer to this we don't know. It could be just perfectly fine. But either way, if you get one of these modems and this happens, you're basically participating now in being part of the national Verizon, national Xfinity
Actually,
hotspot.
yeah, Verizon. Comcast and Verizon have a thing together, so likely there's a connection with that too. But the thing is that
you're part of the Uber hotspot that they're trying to create.
They should give you your modem for free at that point if you're going to use that energy to provide for that capability. Honestly, they can afford it. They can afford it.
Yeah.
And then I would agree with. I don't mind the hotspot thing as much, but yeah, then don't charge me for the modem at the lease rate, because if you're going to use that from me, you're using up, as you said, the energy at the very least to plug it into my outlet. Come on, guys, fair trade.
Yeah, if it had a modem for free, I'd be fine with having the mobile hotspot myself.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna, if it's that or $8 a month, which is ridiculous.
It works a lot better than the Minneapolis hotspot that humorous thing nearby my house. There's a bus stop. There's an old sign from Minneapolis below going, Wi-Fi hotspot, because it's when USI was being rolled out everywhere. Except you can't get any signal there at that sign for anything. So I'm like, what? So, but yeah. So if you got one of the newer modems or they like you're now a Xfinity hotspot. Congratulations.
You can also theoretically call them, get them to shut that off too.
Oh yeah, they'll probably charge you though.
Yeah,
well,
Well, they're not really announcing that they're doing it either. It just happens. So
yeah,
that was kind of the other mild noise.
Yeah, but not that if it's as big of a problem as much as the internet is full.
IPv4 is full? No.
Well, there is 3% of the IPv4 addresses left.
I like the fact that for the better part of a decade, I've been hearing about IPv4 being full, and finally it's happening.
It's going to be
we
full.
started
It's
moving
going
to
to be full.
IPv6.
That's what everybody's doing. So
Yeah,
3% left. Wow.
We need new area codes. So.
No, we'll basically finally be over to IPv6 hopefully someday soon, as they've also been predicting for the last decade.
I really hope the current modem I own right now is capable of IPv6.
Everything's been capable of IPv6 for about 5 years.
Oh, good. So there shouldn't be any. So there shouldn't be any excuse for Comcast to say, "Oh, hey, we have to upgrade our new modem, or we're changing things. You have to buy a new modem."
Well, at least the Comcast modem I have has IPv6 capability when I've gone into the admin panels. Mac and Apple and the PC side and Windows have had IPv6 capability for ages. Cisco's been doing it for ages. Just nobody really wants to use it yet.
Does it cost more?
No.
No.
Blame Nat. Thanks to Nat.
I blame Congress.
That too.
I blame Fess.
I didn't do anything.
But no, I'm actually really impressed that we're finally down to 3% left after all the doom and gloom. Yes, finally! The lemmings are going over the edge. Yay! So, tell me if you heard this one before. Bitcoin.
I've heard about Bitcoin before.
Yeah. We actually discussed this a while ago, back when Rich was a regular guest. Oh, sorry. But no, back a while ago, many months ago, when Rich was on, we were discussing the problems with Bitcoin. We brought this up, and it's actually now happened. One of the vulnerabilities of Bitcoin that people weren't wanting to talk about, because this is not a hack per se. This is not an act. Doesn't require an active attack. Bitcoin requires miners. Miners, because there's fewer and fewer Bitcoins left, have created these aggregate groups. So they it's like the classic run the screensaver, and in the background we'll mine Bitcoins. And
hang on. You need to back up.
Yep.
How the hell do you make Bitcoins? What?
Oh, every X number of days, a large cryptographic chunk is released into the wild. You then, using computing power, run an algorithm against it to basically unwind the cryptographic chunk, and in that chunk are X number of Bitcoins. In the early days, there was a lot, and it was relatively easy to solve. And this is like mining gold. Now that we're way into this, it's harder to solve these cryptographic chunks, and there's fewer coins in them. So it's really, Bitcoin has always been a digital commodity. It's not really a currency. That's something people don't seem to get, including the people who think of Bitcoin as a currency. It's not. It's the gold standard, but in this agreed digital format.
Mm-hmm.
So basically,
how is that a basis of currency? Just, hey, solve this puzzle. You get.
Why is gold a basis of currency?
You get Xbox Live points, I guess. That's what it sounds like.
Why is anything a basis of currency? It isn't. Well, number, it's not currency. It's commodity. So why is anything a basis of commodity? Because people think it's worth something. And I'm not going to get into illusion or whatever. This is just why is gold the commodity it became as a unit of transfer. It was perceived as it's perceived as rare and shiny. Then we went to silver. Yeah. So Bitcoin, that's Bitcoin. So basically, the miners, though, to do this, have created these aggregate groups. So making more and more, basically concentrating computing power. The problem is with Bitcoin is if you get to the point where you have 50% or more, essentially 51% or more of the computing power available across of everybody mining Bitcoins, if you have 51% or more of the computing power, you can now basically control Bitcoin. You can actually now start issuing fake Bitcoin if you wanted, and nobody will know. Because you now, by default, own the majority of Bitcoin by computing power. And most of the groups have kind of shied away. They've gotten it up into the 40%, and they purposely, voluntarily back off a bit. Unfortunately, one miner didn't, and they have demonstrated not only being able to go over 151% for short periods of time, but they've done it for long periods of time. Like we're talking 12-hour stretches where they had the bulk of computing power mining Bitcoin, which means they could basically mint it as they wanted, and nobody could call them on it until they stop. And then, checks happen at that point. And this is a problem with currency, but commodity, is if you have that much computing power, you can actually basically write your own check at that point. And it started happening. Because somebody decided they weren't going to be, part of the gang. Because they don't care. Oh, look, the libertarian ideal. Sorry.
Ouch.
Sorry, but this is one of my problems with the people who've been into, like, oh, this is the future. What I was like, except it has problems, and here's one of the problems.
You see, eventually these guys are just going to be stuck with a bunch of pogs.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, my one of my favorite stories for Bitcoin for somebody making money was NHK a while ago did a report on this, and you have this guy who, I forget what he does in Japan. It wasn't a masseuse, but something like that. Just little dinky profession, doesn't get a lot, and one day had a guy come to him saying, well, can I pay you in Bitcoin? He's like, what's that? I guess so, okay. And the guy gave him like 10 Bitcoins. And he just ignored it. And like 2 years later, it's like, this is worth how much? he's sitting on hundreds of dollars or whatever. He's like, I'm cashing this in now. So, but yeah, it's just like, So we'll see what happens. We'll see if they continue, if they have backed off. This is 2 weeks old, so I haven't looked at it since. But basically, guarantees of security in Bitcoin are shattering more and more. Surprise! So, Google I/O? More glasses?
Yeah, I didn't actually read this one. It just sort of popped up.
It just kind of...
But it looks like it's going to be a wearable device. It looks like it's going to be like a wrist watch dealy, probably to compete with the iWatch that nobody knows anything about either.
If it's a wrist thing, I've actually heard and seen like some posts on it that Google has developed I think it's a wristband type system that will interpret sign language in real time.
Cool.
You sure it's that? Because I last 2 weeks ago I posted an article about this group that was developing a sort of device that attaches with your pad that will translate and interpret sign language.
Okay, that might be it then. I just heard something. I saw a thing on it on a link, and with Google and this thing on the sign language thing.
Yeah, on the Apple side, I view the iWatch and everybody crowing about it the same as the number of years everybody said the tablet's coming out this year, and then Apple wouldn't introduce a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like nobody knows what Apple's really going to do, But yeah, it sounds like.
Well, I'm pretty sure iPhone 6 will come out this fall.
Well, yeah, there's that, and there's a new iOS.
The iPhones.
A new OS 10, a new iOS, but that's already been announced.
Yep.
But no, yeah, for Google. People are going to be interested to see what happens at this conference because the last several Google I/Os have been very flashy events, and so the question is are they going to finally turn back to being more of a developer conference like it used to be and more supporting the developers, or is it going to continue to be more of a flashy show event?
Until they start pulling out at the end of their show. And 2 more things just to one up,
Yeah. Well, the last WWDC, Apple's equivalent event, was very much a developer-focused show with there was a ton of stuff announced during it, but none of it was like something that would have an end user sit up and go, oh, wow. It's all very stuff for developers going, oh, this is really cool and interesting and going to be really useful and going to be able to do neat stuff. So that's why the question is what's going to happen with Google I/O. So, but yeah, they'll probably have their wrist thingy. Because everybody needs a wrist thingy.
All right, that brings us to our general geek category.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Sorry, I have to reread this one just to remember what. Yeah, Arecibo got an upgrade.
Arecibo!
Yay!
They upgraded.
I like Arecibo.
And then they hit Control-Alt-Delete. Basically, what they've done with Arecibo is, and it isn't just Arecibo, but they've upgraded Arecibo to be part of this system, is you take Arecibo, you point it as much as you point the island of Puerto Rico at something, an asteroid, and you bounce radio waves off it, and then another array will collect it, or vice versa. An array will bounce off an asteroid and Arecibo will collect it. But basically, they've upgraded the sensitivity of the equipment at Arecibo, and they get high-resolution radar, basically, of these asteroids. So now you have high-resolution pictures of these asteroids that we didn't have before. And it's kind of, I thought it was kind of a neat method that it's not just, bounce up and back, but it's actually, where's the asteroid, bounce off it, go to a receiving array, and then be able to get these high-resolution radar images of the asteroids in question. So it's just all the maths that have to go into that. I thought was kind of neat.
That is really super cool. Yeah,
it's just like, and the fact that it's Arecibo, which has always been a cool radio telescope. It's the big one that's basically stuck in the bowl of an ex-volcano or whatever it is, and it's like, like I said, the concept. I know the middle thing moves is how you aim it, but the concept of essentially a stationary thing on an island going, how do you aim that? Earth is rotating, the asteroid's moving.
That, and if you're a supervillain, you can flood it.
Actually, convert to a giant laser.
Yeah.
That's what a supervillain would do.
Yes, I invoked Goldeneye, I know.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. I'm surprised for all the time I've spent in Puerto Rico for reasons of science. I still have not been to Arecibo.
Aww.
I know, I'm sad.
You really can't be in it while it's active, though. It kind of hurts.
Yeah, I know.
What's that humming noise in my head?
Ever seen that scene from Scanners?
Exactly. So, what happens when you send the Italians the IS, or ISS, sorry?
Espresso!
We must have our coffee. Yes, the Italians.
How is that going to... We have to develop new technology.
Yes, they an engineering firm and a coffee maker firm came together to figure out how to make an espresso maker for the ISS. It does other beverages, too. So it's ISS equivalent of an espresso.
Does it do beer?
No, it's more
I know there were
Keurig.
scientists working on beer for the ISS. I don't know how that went.
Yeah, but how much... That's a lot of weight to be putting up in a rocket and to be sitting on an orbiting spacecraft.
The beer or the espresso?
The espresso machine.
Oh, it's only like this big.
That's huge space standards.
That's
huge.
Dragon capsule can carry it easily.
It's like, well, yeah,
it's
but
like
it's like,
Dragon
how much extra poundage of fuel do you need for that thing just to get it up there? That's
it's espresso. How do you expect an Italian astronaut to get any work done?
People need their fix. I mean, God, when you send somebody up to the ISS, they're there for a while.
Yeah, I'll do the spacewalk after my Demitas.
And then they bring up all the coffee beans, and then there's I mean, you don't save the coffee. That's a lot of waste. That's a lot of byproduct waste.
It appears to be little plastic bags with the grounds in them, and it plugs into the machine. But I'm not sure how you get the liquid back out because it seems to brew it in there. And I don't know if you get the little crema. See, here's the physics that has to be explored. Where does the crema go? Does it kind of go on the outside of the globe of coffee? Is it kind of mixed? Can you get layers? Can you get a barista up there to do art? These are important physics questions.
I'm sure we'll get video from the ISS.
You then convince Neil deGrasse Tyson to narrate all this, and he just goes.
Let's get Neil deGrasse Tyson into space. Let's do that.
So yes, if you go to the links, there's actual pictures of the bulky machine, and yeah, thank you Italians for helping the cause of science in space. Yeah.
Necessity is the... or whatever.
GIFs? GIFs?
All right. And moving on, animated
espresso GIFs.
Animated GIFs are now on Twitter. Hooray!
Yay?
Yeah, but not on TweetDeck, I guess. You still have to click to see them.
Boo.
Yeah, so I mean, everything's. I mean, it's also embedding like some videos that'll I mean, the animated GIFs, they have a play button on them, so they don't automatically load, which is good for people that have trouble with moving pictures. And there's plenty of like plugins for your browser to stop animated images for that reason. So that's why they have a play button on there. But but I'd like. I got Tumblr for my images, so let's see how well it handles that if they can actually start embedding them with a play button like that into TweetDeck. But that's just me being nerdy and liking to see images.
Cool.
Speaking of IKEA, IKEA claims trademark infringement over IKEA hackers 8 years after the fact because the guy running the site is making money off the ads to run said site. And we got links from Gizmodo.com, BoingBoing.net, and ArsTechnica.com about some of which questions whether or not IKEA can technically do that, since it's a trademark and not a copyright. And I think it was on Boing Boing, they argue that no, that is not actually a legal thing that they can do. They basically sent a cease and desist to the guy, intimidated him, and came up with an agreement that he can keep IKEA hackers if he stops having advertisements on his site, to which, of course, the website would fall apart because, I mean, you need money to run a website that big, that's moderated, and things like that. So, yeah, so the guy's just going to move to another website and I guess redirect, keep the IKEA hackers URL and redirect to a different website.
I heard there was a new development in the story because I follow IKEA hackers, and IKEA, several days after this whole thing blew up, IKEA directly contacted the guy and said, hey, maybe we can work something out. And I haven't heard the resolution on that yet, but he and IKEA are talking on more friendly terms.
That's great. I mean, the only thing it does is like, hey, look at this stuff you can go to IKEA to buy and do this with. It's like, what negativeness is there?
It's a fan site for IKEA. I mean, it is. I mean, yeah, Paul made his little microphone mount off of IKEA hackers.
A shock mount from IKEA hackers.
Mm-hmm.
How dare they take away this resource from me?
It's a cool site. I love following it.
Let's find a link for whatever you're talking about so we can add it to our show notes. But that sounds intelligent.
The post went up just a couple days ago.
Good.
Find it.
All right, so hold on now.
Yep.
If it's a trademark, okay, never mind. I was thinking no. Don't you have to have certain? It's like if you want to do it at some point, you have to kind of be aggressive about it. So anybody trying to use the name IKEA in anything that you have to go after,
the trademark you have to defend. Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's even if it is a trademark, which is less defensible than say a copyright, there is legal precedent where companies often go after people who are using their name in just about anything, because if they don't, and later there's a legitimate issue with somebody using their trademark for something illegitimate, a court can go to IKEA and say, oh, you didn't go after IKEA hackers, but you're going after this guy, so you're not actually interested in protecting your trademark.
Right.
It's legal bullshit.
Yeah, trademarks you always have to actively defend.
Yeah.
Well, then I would guess they wouldn't have a case anyways then.
From waiting 8 years to yeah. And I found the post. Inter IKEA Systems BV called me. Fresh talks have launched. I just posted that link too. So we'll get that in the show notes. And
you found it?
Yep. I found it from the website. So that's good. I mean, obviously, you need money to run the site. But yeah, I think it's well worth the investment as a company, especially when it paints your company in a very good light. And it basically says, hey, go buy this stuff. We don't sell versions of this. Go buy it theirs. It'd be different if they were selling. I could see Lego going after the people that make pseudo blocks, even though that maybe they technically can do that, or guns or something like that. If you want to protect the brand of the making things that hook up with IKEA stuff, I could kind of see that, especially if they're touting the name IKEA, but they're not selling any merchandise. So that is
like
a unicorn. Is it cow?
No. No, it's a horse.
It's a horse. Okay, I see it now.
See,
It's
Light
a horse,
Cavalry.
of course,
Anzac, come on.
All right. I'll settle down there.
Charge Light Brigade. All that stuff.
Peaks.
Actually, I'm trying to remember. What's the movie? Was it Gallipoli, which has the last successful horse charge in history?
Oh yeah, I think that is Gallipoli, isn't it?
Yeah, where they're going after the Turks and they come in under their guns. Because that's the light. That's kind of historically the last.
Well, Gallipoli's not against the Turks.
Well, World War One, right? Nah, it's not Gallipoli.
Oh wait. Oh, Rud.
Yeah, what is it?
Maybe it was Gallipoli.
But basically, historically, that's the last successful use of light cavalry. So, so yay, Aussies. Anzac Day was
Drink to the Australians.
Well, Wendy pointed out, and only Brian noticed that I'm wearing my slouch hat today because I have my fancy hats, and Wendy thought I should wear them more often.
Peaks. We got peaks.
We got peaks.
I got 2 today, actually, I guess.
I got one.
I just got one that was almost stolen.
We all have one. That's awesome.
Ah! Luckily not in the beer. It's really hard to balance a horse on your slouch hat.
Who wants to start?
Well, I guess I will, since everyone's being so quiet. So I got 2. And the first one is real quick. It's Steam's summer sale. So if you have some money and you'd like to lose it, go over to load up your Steam program and buy a whole bunch of video games at ridiculously cheap prices. And this ties into a different peak by somebody else who can take it from here.
Oh, hey. I just recently finished reading The Jaws Log, which is a book by one of the writers of the first summer blockbuster, Jaws. He was also an actor in the movie, and he, a while ago, actually shortly after the filming, wrote this very comprehensive book about the making of Jaws. And it's fantastic. I mean, I've been told for years that this is the book that Bryan Singer reads before he directs another film, because it is just this amazing, comprehensive document of how the movie industry works and how this particular production overcame all of these production problems. And it's also very well written. So it's a very entertaining read, and it's not very long, and you can get the 25th anniversary expanded edition with all the footnotes in the back that updates all the information that was originally written. So it's cool. Interesting stuff. Really good.
Okay, that wasn't the segue I was going for, but that sounds awesome.
Neener.
Well, it sounded like you were throwing it to somebody else.
I was throwing it specifically to Mike.
Yeah.
Well, fine.
The thing is, I didn't get this one on the summer sale, but So I heard about a game a while back that got released on April 1st, just because. And it's this fun little game. It's called Goat Simulator. Basically, you are a goat. And
I am a
run
goat.
around. Yeah, you run around. You ram things. You can actually climb up ladders. I know. And there's just.
Can you enter a house filled with Australian college students? Film reference.
You can enter houses with people in them. I don't know if they're Australian college students. But the thing is, it's this broken little game. It's a sandbox game. It has a couple of different areas you can go into. But other than that, it's just this open thing where you can do all this stuff. And they don't take the game very, very seriously, the creators.
No, of course not.
Yeah. But yeah, let's see. The disclaimer is Goat Simulator is a small, broken, and stupid game. It was made in a couple of weeks, so don't expect a game the size and scope of GTA with goats. In fact, you're better off not. In fact, you're better off not expecting anything at all. Actually, to be completely honest, it would be best if you spent your $10 on a hula hoop, a pile of bricks, or maybe a real life goat.
All right, so this is right now it's 20% off on Steam until June 30th, so it's only $8. And key features about this game is you can be a goat. You get points for wrecking stuff.
Yeah.
Millions of bugs.
Yeah.
And they're only eliminating crash bugs. Everything else is hilarious, and we're keeping it. In-game physics spaz out all the time.
Like a goat.
Seriously, look at that goat's neck, and you could be a goat.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna buy it.
Oh, it's great.
There
It
is
really
no
fun.
Mac version, and I am sad.
I'll
Not
let
yet.
you.
They're working on it. They are working.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Oh, good.
Let's work on making our buggy game available for the Mac.
Well, no, it's in the fact which you gotta love the fact on the official site because the first question is, "Bro, are you serious?" And the answer is yes. But yeah, Mac and Linux. We are currently working on a port of Goat Simulator to the Mac and Linux. We don't have a date for when it's going to be done, but y'all are going to be goats.
Awesome.
And one of the lines from their thing about what if we find a bug? It's like, oh, report it to us. If it's funny enough, we'll keep it.
So they're bro goats, is what you're saying.
But yeah, one of the things you can do is if you need to like pick up something, whenever you lick it, and your tongue just kind of sticks to it until you disengage, which is great when there's a car going by. Because it kind of stretches the tongue out and then drags you along. There's a spot in the first world where there's like this redneck where if you run into it you get hit by the car and then it's like taken out by the redneck or whatever. But if you get close enough and lick the car because he's doing donuts around the field, it gets to the point where you latch onto it, the tongue stretches out, and you just start going around and following it, and it gets to the point where you're almost perpendicular to the car itself and hitting things while you're going past. It's a great little game. It's awesome. I've been having fun with it.
I guess I'll have the serious peek.
But it's cool because I tried to steal it.
Yes. So
I totally did.
If you need to know where live lightning strikes are happening in the world, go to the website that we have linked here. The default link goes to North America, but this actually is a project that started in Europe, so you can go to Europe and see what's happening. And basically, it's showing where lightning strikes are currently happening, or basically relatively live. There's a slight delay because of how it works. The neat thing is they have links to go buy the detector so you can become part of the network.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a little, I don't know if it's Arduino or Raspberry Pi, but it's a little board with the detector gear. You plug it into your computer. If you're in Europe, they include an antenna. I think there's some issue over here that you can't quite get the right antenna, but you can supply one of your own. They weren't clear. But basically, you can plug in your computer, you become part of the network, and we'll upload the data to them. And basically what they're doing is they're triangulating off all these detectors to know where live lightning strikes are happening based off just radio frequency information. But it's just kind of neat to have on the background because it has a little noise that goes on every time there's a lightning strike. So you're hearing this constant thing going on. You can turn it on and see where lightning is happening. So it's just a fun little thing to kind of get distracted by.
Yeah, it's kind of hypnotic.
Yep, it's up there with like if you go into the science museum like ours and several others that do the live where earthquakes happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
with,
right.
With
Plays the
music.
that does the instrument.
Yeah, the instrument thing. Yeah.
Yeah, tube instrument, whatever it is.
Yeah, it's similar to that. It's like I'd love having a live earthquake thing and a live lightning thing going at the same time. It'd be kind of fun, but where is natural disaster happening? Woohoo! So.
All right, and my last peek is it's less of a peek, more of a hey, this we kind of need to know some of this for at least our Minnesota and surrounding border state listeners. There's a toxic invasive plant species spreading in Minnesota called the Grecian foxglove. Grecian foxglove. I was going to say that first. Its toxins, quote, primarily affect cardiovascular, neurologic, and gastrointestinal systems, unquote.
Let's use that alcohol.
So everything.
And it's just as bad as if it's a dried plant, too. So wear really thick gloves and maybe a face mask if you want to remove them. I'm not sure if you're actually supposed to call to have them removed or what, but there's some links.
I'm not touching the damn thing.
Well, I probably would, but there's some links here that you guys can follow. Let's see here. What do you do if you see a foxglove? So the MDA...
burning it's probably a real great idea.
Yeah, so Minnesota Department of Agriculture has submitted something, and which we'll link as well. What do you do if you see it? Note the exact location, if possible, take photos, and then contact the MDA by emailing them or calling their voicemail. So I guess they will show up.
Clue how this is getting spread, or how it got spread, or just somebody got some and let it go wild?
No, it's an invasive species. It's just kind of been creeping. It's been creeping up the Mississippi River Valley, if I'm correct. Which I might not be, but yeah, right now it's kind of in the Mississippi River Valley and in those areas.
Okay.
There you go.
To the what's his face? What are the little mussels?
Oh, zebra mussels.
Yeah, feed it to zebra mussels. I love it. Make a salad with milfoil. I don't know.
Gross.
I think that's it, guys.
That's it for this edition. And
who's doing the outro? Richard's not here.
Mike
he left us. Let's try to get him. No, so this has been episode 229, recorded the week of June 23rd, 2014, of The Geek Life. Of course, is at thegeeklife.tv. You can email us at new email, thegeeklifetv@gmail.com, for any of your comments or stories that you may have for us. Voicemail 1-612-567-6515. Facebook, The Geek Life. Twitter, at The Geek Life TV. And Google Plus, Geek Life Podcast. And Wait? What? Crap! What? I screwed it up. I've been Fess, and with me I've been joined by Paul.
This is Bruce.
Mike.
Later.
And Melissa.
Bye-bye. I don't think we ever actually introduced ourselves either, so we just kind of